Today's random phrase generated is wild goose chase, futilely pursuing something that is not attainable. I think that's how it's defined. What is a wild goose chase? I could provide 3 steps. I could provide 2 types. Today I'm going to provide 1 concept or idea. In my opinion, I feel that everyone has what's called a Burke's razor. I learned about this in a book by Nassim Nicholas Taleb called Anti-Fragility or Anti-Fragile. And in it he describes Burke's razor by this idea that all great inventors, philosophers, pioneers were kind of known for doing one thing. And they focused on that thing exclusively for decades, almost dedicating their whole life to that idea. So the 2 examples that come to mind is 1, Edwin Land, who is the founder of Polaroid, had something like, 500 or 1,000 patents. And he's the one who invented over 3 decades the idea of the instant photography, or a camera where you could take a picture and, Polaroid, in less than 60 seconds you would have like a physical, little film that you could look at. And he applied Burke's razor by having this idea: I'm going to dedicate my life to the science of light. And spent his whole stinking life figuring out the science of light. Then you have Thomas Edison. Thomas Edison is another great inventor, and we all know him. Most of our world, in one way, shape, or form, was touched and positively influenced by him. And his Burke's razor was make enough money today so that I can continue inventing tomorrow, continue tinkering tomorrow, continue experimenting tomorrow. And you could see that both of these could be considered wild goose chases, because as I try to unravel that, there isn't really a destination. There's not a promised land. It's not once you have done this, it is now done, finito, complete. You can now put it away and then shift focus onto something else. Make enough money today to invent, experiment, and tinker tomorrow. I want to dedicate my life to the science of light. And those, you could say, are, from the outside perspective, wild goose chases, futilely pursuing something that is unattainable. But in doing so, both Edwin Land and Thomas Edison haphazardly or accidentally discovered entire industries that were not existent before them, that thousands, millions, billions of people have now benefited from, thanks to a wild goose chase. Their wild goose chases, seeking after impossible, unattainable pursuits. And that the joy of doing that, the joy of the pursuit of the wild goose chase, is the destination. It is the fulfillment. It's the promised land for both of them. And so I look at my life and go, these are 2 men that I admire for a lot of the characteristics and the way that they approach life. I'm not going to look at either of them completely, absolutely, as individuals I want to replicate and reflect. But there are things that I can take from these 2 heroes of mine and extract characteristics or methods or tactics, or in this case, for both of them, vision, and then incorporate it into my own style, my own life, to make it uniquely my own. And so, taking this wild goose chase approach, what is my life pursuit? What is it? What really is it? And I feel it breaks down into maybe 2, maybe 3 different maxims. The first is find out what people want and have them get it through you as quickly, conveniently, abundantly, and as authentically as possible for free. Most of the time, that's an impossible mission, an impossible pursuit, a wild goose chase. But in doing so, you future-proof yourself against entropy. So that's the first one. That's my first wild goose chase, is find out what people want, then have them get it through you as quickly, abundantly, conveniently, and as authentically as possible for free. The next one is empowering others to do more of what they love doing, or the technical term, the technical jargon, which it's going to require almost every single word in this sentence to be broken down for anyone to really understand other than me, which I hope with future videos I can clearly distill down what each of these words mean. But it means I edge metapreneurs to exaptively innovate. Ooh, that's a mouthful, Carrie. That's the second one. Empowering others to do more of what they love doing, or my technical fancy term, I edge metapreneurs to exaptively innovate. And then the third one is I want to dedicate my life to the science of rest. REST is an acronym in this sentence. It stands for reflexive energy sublimation techniques, tactics, technologies, TTT. Any of those could be swapped out for one another. But it's reflexive energy sublimation. And this is not an industry. This is not as beautifully distilled down as Edwin Land's wild goose chase, dedicating his life to the science of light. Mine is dedicating my life to this weird world, reflexive energy sublimation theory, rest. And what that is I believe that there is energy in everything. And because we have free will and a unique connection to God or to Allah or to the universe or to the infinite, because we have a connection to that, some might believe that that is actually through our subconscious, and our subconscious is that God, that it is God, it is a savior, that because we have this ability to consciously exercise our free will, and because we have this sacred, in my opinion, a sacred connection with everything around us through the form of energy, that we can reflect in our mind how to exploit. And what I mean by exploit, not the negative connotation, but take advantage is what I mean, of the energy around us, or that has gone through us, or that is in some capsulated medium, like an idea. An idea is inspiring, it's empowering, it's exciting, but it's kind of like in its own dimension. But it has, in my opinion, a form of energy. And if we can reflectively, we can meditate, we can ponder, we can think, how can I utilize or exploit the energy all around me and tap into this innate connection I have with the infinite to help me recognize how to exploit this energy. The way that you go about exploiting it is sublimating it, transforming that medium of energy into or through a tactic, technology, or a technique, or through a theory, a working theory, in order to drive you forward in getting you what you want inevitably. So let's take an idea as a simple concept. Jeff Bezos has been coined as saying, we don't have ideas, or people don't have ideas. Ideas have people. And what that to me tells me is kind of like, ooh, ideas are like encapsulated forms or mediums of energy. And that it's our job to look at that thing and to somehow release it, break it down, and so that it releases that energy, and then we can sublimate that energy, we can transform that energy in order for fueling us to, to move forward or to pursue it, or to seek after excitingly audacious projects. So this would be like the idea of something inspires me. It breathes life into me. It breathes, respirar, right? Inspirar. It breathes life into me. It inspires me to move forward. Or it empowers you. In other words, it takes a form of energy, which is power, and it puts it into you and now gives you more control. It now is a lever or is a tool that you can use to further manipulate your future or conform or change or create your future, thanks to having reflectively taken that form of energy and then sublimated it, transformed it into a fuel for you in order to help you achieve your desired results inevitably. That is a wild goose chase. That, like empowering others to do more of what they love doing, or I edge metapreneurs to exactively innovate, or find out what people want and have them get it through you as conveniently, quickly, abundantly, and authentically as possible for free. And you'll see that, in my opinion, as I futilely pursue these unattainable goals, I will start to create by accident industries, products, discoveries, domains that could benefit thousands, millions, billions, and maybe one day even trillions of people. And so I look at Edwin Land and Thomas Edison, both being wild gooses, chasing wild gooses, doing wild goose chases, and look to them as a medium of energy to inspire me to do more of what I love doing, which I feel is to dedicating my life to the reflexive energy sublimation theory, or figuring out ways on how to invent what I feel are really cool products and then sharing them with the world, finding out what people want, and then having them get it through me as quickly, abundantly, and conveniently and authentically as possible for free. Which future-proofs yourself against entropy. Yeah. That's where it's going to end today. Wild goose chase. Wild goose chase. And I feel like I've got to even break it down even further. I guess my thing is I want to invent products. I think any invention, a process or a product, is actually just a form of leverage. It's a tool that, if utilized with the right hands, actually allows what anything of leverage does, which helps you to more efficiently or effectively get your desired result without expending so much energy. And I want to do that for the rest of my life. I want to come up with inventions and processes and methodologies and concepts that empower others to do more of what they love doing. So that is where we will end it. Wild goose chase. Wild. Let me see. Right here. Wild goose chase.